This is Terrence R.J. Banks with Information Age Financial Solutions, coming to you again about pensions and the drastic cuts that are going about to hit. And I've came across this great article from Mish Talk. Drastic pension cuts will hit California, Kentucky, and other states. The rubber meets the road now, folks. We're actually at a point in time where they cannot keep this under wrap anymore. Now, I've done a couple of videos in the past. I believe that 2018 will be the starting point to reveal everything. But let me dive right into this article. The California Supreme Court will rule on pension cuts. Curiously, the court's ruling will be irrelevant in case of bankruptcy. Supreme Court is set to consider it benefits cuts permissible. Ruling could provide relief to cash-strapped localities. Now, we know I've done a number of videos in the past about how serious this problem is, especially for pensions. I went back as far as the Teamsters, but this is just keep unfolding as time goes on. Let me get right into it. Look what California Governor Jerry Brown said. Legal rulings may clear the way for making cuts to pension benefits, which would go against long-standing assumptions and potentially provide financial relief to states and its local governments. Brown said he has a hunch the courts would modify the so-called California rule, which holds that benefits promised to public employees can't be rolled back. The state Supreme Court is set to hear a case in which lower courts rule that reductions to pensions are permissible if the payments remain reasonable for workers. Worth repeating, if they remain reasonable. Now, how do they determine what's reasonable or not? So that's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. There's more flexibility than there is currently assumed by those who discussed the California's rule, Brown said during a briefing on the budget in Sacramento. He said in the next recession, the governor will have the option of considering pension cutbacks for the first time. Here we go. That will be a major shift in California, where municipal officials have long believed they couldn't adjust the benefits even as they struggle to cover the costs. And honestly, it doesn't make any sense to make the whole city suffer when you cannot make the payments. I know these things are promised, but we have to talk about the reality. You do not want a Mad Max scenario. They have raised taxes and dipped into reserves to meet rising contributions. When they're dipping into reserves, that means other things are going to be cut. Things as police, fire, safety. Well, California having so much different things going on, you don't want those services cut. The California Public Pension Employees Retirement System, the nation's largest public pension, has about 68% of assets needed to cover its liabilities. For the fiscal year beginning in July, the state's contribution to CalPERS is double what it is in fiscal 2009. So I mean, the obligations are continuing to grow because more people are retiring, more people are demanding more, and the contributions is not being able to keep up. And this is in the case of unprecedented stock market, where it's just continuing going up 1,000 points and it seems no end in sight. In the next town curve, when things look pretty dire, that will be one of the items on the chopping block, Brown said. Pensions cuts are coming. It's refreshing to hear a politician admit the obvious. This is from Mish now. Pension cuts are coming. However, whether or not the cuts are reasonable is irrelevant in cases of bankruptcy. Bankruptcy is under federal, not state law. And this comes from governor.com, shows a map of the United States, and the different outlines of green here shows where they're going to be allowed to be able to file bankruptcies. Municipalities located in states that are green generally have a right to declare bankruptcy. Those in purple don't. So we still see a larger number of if you're living in one of these states and they don't have the bankruptcy protection, that can even be worse, because if you file bankruptcy, at least you have the start of starting over and coming on a fresh start. If you continue to bleed out just to pay those individuals who promise things that unreasonable, I should say unreasonable, based on unreasonable because they're not based on a finite plan and things changing, and it hasn't been proven long. Again, we have over 90 million Americans not actually in the labor force, even though unemployment is extremely low as according to the statistics. And this is not counting the 10,000 people retiring each day. Municipalities located in states that are green generally have a right to declare bankruptcy. Those in purple don't. There could be bankruptcy legislation at the national level that will supersede state constitutions, and I'm in favor of that. Now, I don't think Mike Mish Shedlock's trying to be harsh here. I'm just pointing out that if it doesn't make any sense if you cannot maintain the payments to have everyone in that particular city or state suffer from that. Now, if California was bad, look at Illinois and Kentucky. They are much worse off. Even 3% gains would devastate most pension plans. Steep actual losses are likely. Things are dire and pension cuts are coming. Municipalities resort to bankruptcy if necessary in states that allow it. Those states that do not allow municipal bankruptcy will be forced one way or another to do so. It's a short article here. But again, if you're not involved with keeping abreast of what's going on with the pensions, especially in your state, I would encourage you. In fact, I would plead with you to get involved, because these are people, these are your grandparents. These are your uncles, aunts, different family members who are going to be affected by it. They're going to look for you to help them. And that's the honorable thing to do. But as this thing continues to unfold, we're going to need to be more reliant on each other and look at different means of taking care of ourselves and start looking for the government to do it. So if this video has been any help, please leave some comments, subscribe to the channel, and until my next video, I'm out.